Hey everybody, it's Chris from Walking Man Walks back with another video. So today I wanted to talk about why I'm in the Philippines, why I'm thinking about retiring in the Philippines, and what brought me here. So I'm from the United States. I grew up in New York. I currently live in Colorado half the year and in the Philippines half the year. I work for the federal government, so I'm fortunate enough to get a furlough every year for 4 months, and that's when I come here to the Philippines. I've traveled all over, tried several different countries, um, Colombia, Kenya, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Chile, Argentina, not much else in Asia, Uganda. But anyway, I grew up in New York born in the late 60s. I'm a Gen Xer. Basically grew up in the 70s and 80s. I mean, what I remember mostly is the 80s. I grew up in a very working class neighborhood, and in my neighborhood, or amongst my friends, my family was the poorest. I know I'm a white guy, a white man, and I have a lot of privilege, but when I grew up, we were the poorest. Like on Thanksgiving, when they took donations to give food to kids and families, my house was the house they delivered the food to. And that was, as a kid, that was embarrassing for me. For 1 year of my youth, we were on welfare. My mom got sick. It was an issue with her mental health. My father left when I was 2 years old. Uh, Not like divorce or anything, he just left. Went out for a pack of cigarettes, your classic New York story. Never came back in, left my mom with 5 kids. The two my oldest brother and sister, who are both passed now, were from her first marriage, and then me, my sister, and my brother are all 1 year apart from her second marriage. That's my dad who left. Okay, so that's the setup. So at a very young age, I was introduced to money problems. Money was always the constant talk in my house with my mother. Rightfully so. She was raising 5 kids by herself. It was very tough back then. The welfare system wasn't great. Like I said, most of the time she worked, we went on welfare for 1 year. And, we were always on food stamps. I remember sending me to the store to get stuff with food stamps. I was always embarrassed about that. My mom had a condition called Tourette's syndrome, which she was born with. She's a very intelligent woman. She passed a few years ago. But this disease, I guess you call it's a nerve disease. It made her twitch and curse uncontrollably. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the condition. But sometimes we'd be in the store together and I'd be with her, and when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, she would have these twitches and curse, and it would be very embarrassing for me. But eventually, I got over that, and I got used to it, and I got comfortable with it. And of course, as I got older, I completely understood, and I knew it wasn't her fault. I never really blamed her, but as a kid, it was embarrassing. So when I was about 12, everything came to a head for her. She started drinking a lot, taking pills, and she tried to kill herself. I woke up one morning, I went into her bedroom, and she was laying in bed with a bottle of pills next to her. I was 12 years old, mind you. I went and called an ambulance, had her taken away to the hospital, and then she was put into a mental health facility for the next year. For that year, my older sister from my mom's first marriage, who was living with her boyfriend in the house, or he moved in at that point. He was about 21 and she was 18 or 19. I was 12, my sister was 13, and my other brother was 11. Then our 18-year-old sister started taking care of us, but she didn't really want to and couldn't. So then we had to go to my aunt's house for a while, who didn't live far away, and she had 2 kids of her own. Her husband was a principal. They were a lot more well off than us. And that was kind of a nightmare too, because we got to see how her kids were treated, but we weren't treated the same for, I think, 6 months we lived there. Or it was one of the worst Christmases of my life. I mean, I respect and love my aunt now, but she was young then, maybe in her 30s, I think, and she treated us different than our own kids. And when you're a 12-year-old kid, that makes a big difference to you. Okay, so all that happened, but eventually my mom came home. I was kind of a mama's boy. I love my mom, you know. She came home, and you know, we started to get back to normal. We were on welfare for a little while, like I said, like 1 year. 14 years old, I got my first job, started working summers when I wasn't in school. Started giving my mom $100 a month to pay rent, and I've been paying rent ever since then, probably, till I lived with her till in my early 20s when I moved out to go to college. I saved up, moved out, and went away to college. When I was in school, I never planned on going to college. When I was in high school, I didn't do that well. I had a couple of years in school where I was not a great student, not a great kid. You know, my counselors said it was backlash from my family life and all that, and they're probably right looking back now. And my sister, who was a year older, was always running away. My younger brother was always into all kinds of trouble as well. So, I mean, although that happened, we were, you know, kind of popular in our school. We knew a lot of kids, especially me. I was popular. I always got along with people. And I think that helped out with my social skills growing up. But anyway, I ended up graduating high school. A year late, I got left behind a year. In 8th grade, I missed almost every day of school on purpose. Me and my friends would meet in front of the school every day and then go mess around, dick around town for the whole day and not go to school. And my grandfather, who was my father figure at the time, he lived about a mile away, my mom's dad. And if it wasn't for my grandparents, I don't know what our childhood would have been like. They gave us food all the time and gave my mother money and helped us out. But anyway, when I missed all those days of school, I remember coming home, my grandfather waiting at the door and just punching me right in the face and knocking me to the ground. And somehow that like straightened me out. I don't know what happened. But after that, I started doing better in school. I started playing sports. I started hanging out with different kids. I still hung out with my old friends, but they were mostly troublemakers, so I kind of weaned myself off of them. And that's, you know, the next 2 or 3 years, I kind of went straight and narrow. I stopped smoking weed and all that stuff that I was doing, drinking, and, you know, for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I was playing sports, being a good kid, doing better in class. I was never an academic genius. I mean, I did better in school when I went to college, and I was paying for it myself. But anyway, so after that, I ended up graduating high school. I had a great girlfriend at the time. She was, you know, really pretty, one of the prettiest girls in my whole school. And not that I'm a great looking guy, but that was, my personality was really good. I was outgoing, I was funny, so I guess that's why she went out with me. But we ended up dating for 5 years. That's another story for another time. But anyway, that's the beginning of my life, how it started. So I just want to give you guys an idea of how a guy like me ends up in a place like the Philippines. So let's call this part 1 of the story, and I'll make a few more. I have a lot of stories actually, so I'll make many more videos about how I grew up and what I did after high school and college and how that worked out for me. But I just wanted to put some context to why I'm moving to the Philippines, wanting to live in the Philippines, and how I got here. Okay, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like my videos, and I'll see you on the next video.